right, good people, come on in. Come on in and get some of this good information. Some of this hot tips. Like flaming hot arrows, we're about to drop it. Gonna put it down, something nasty. Give everybody a chance to get up in here and listen to what we got. All right. Let's get started, good people. Now let's drop this thing. So appreciate everybody coming in. First and foremost, I want to apologize for earlier the live. I had an issue going on with my sound. I think my mic went haywire. No one was able to hear me, which sucked because I dropped a whole hour worth of wonderful, wonderful information. Enough that people would be able to digest and play back on and on and on and on, over and over and over. Give you guys some inside track information to understanding the world, credit, and cash. But before I say that, I want to say I think what happened was, of course, the enemy likes to get in the middle of things and cause chaos whenever something good is about to be shared with the people and people are about to be delivered. So that's what the enemy is about. He's about bringing heartache and pain and transgression. But guess what? I said, you know what, man? I'm going to come back here and do another live just to show the enemy that I will not be defeated. And those who follow what I have to say will not be defeated. Everyone will gain. Everyone will benefit tremendously from this information and the dialogue. So that being said, everybody that comes in, let's get a like, share, and subscribe. Let's get a comment. I'd like you guys to share what you feel in your hearts about the content as it goes forward. So don't be shy with hitting that like button. Don't be shy about subscribing. Don't be shy about commenting, because we're built for it. One way or the other. Overall, we're going to take this as far as it'll go. And I have some time tonight, so I'm going to go over some things that I think are missing in the midst of people and what's happening out here in the system. Okay, so let me get this music going down. Okay, there we go. Get a little bit of background music so it's not just drowning out. You guys can hear me. Okay, if you don't hear me and you happen to hop into live here a few minutes, just go ahead and give me a thumbs down. If you do not hear me, if you do hear me, give me a thumbs up. that lets me know that I'm actually doing this correctly for once. Okay. So you guys see the title. You understand what this is about. This live is about credit and understanding why it rules the world, why it's number one, why it reigns supreme, and why in this world, without it, you can only go but so far. Okay. That is a fact. I know people out there, they want to believe that you can get by without it, and you might, but you're going to struggle. And you're not going to be able to advance yourself in today's society anywhere on the planet. I don't care where you live. You live in India, Afghanistan, doesn't matter. If you have no access to the banking system via credit, you are reduced to the role of a cockroach, pretty much. And you will be treated as such amongst those who actually do utilize and deploy credit on a daily basis. You will be reduced to rubble, basically. Okay. So how does all that pertain to the content tonight? Let's get into this. I want to start out by making a statement. Okay. I'm going to make a statement that reigns supreme all over the world, no matter where you're from, no matter where you're located, no matter where you're going. Okay. This is a global maxim, if I will. Okay. So it all begins with credit worthiness. And I'm going to read this sentence that I actually took a note on. So credit worthiness is a representation of future financial capability, and cash holdings are a representation of past financial successes. Okay. I'm going to break down what that means. Okay. So in essence, when you are credit worthy, you have the ability to go out and utilize the funding capacity of an institution or a partnership or another entity that manages funds or has the capability to create funds or create credit or create useful financial support. Okay, that is credit worthiness. And you can only obtain such from having a proven history and track record of paying people in a timely manner. Okay. Now, how does that differ from cash? See, well, credit and credit worthiness is a representation of your future ability to use funding or to acquire some type of access to capital or funding. Credit represents the future because it'll be there ahead of you. Okay, that's the difference. Credit worthiness is ahead of you, and it will be ahead of you. So when you make a comparative analysis and you look at cash is a representation of past success. So if I have, for instance, $1,000, that means I exchange $1,000 worth of value or $1,000 of my time or about $1,000 of a service that I provide or $1,000 of whatever in exchange for that money. But guess what? There's an end in sight for cash. Cash is limited. Okay. There's way more credit circulating the globe than cash. Credit circulates the globe at an exponential rate, and it's fast. There are a lot of perks to using credit versus using cash. Cash is very limited. Cash is final. Credit is static. It's a very good way of saying that. Once cash hits the table, boom, transaction finalized, done. Credit, you can play around, you can go here, you can go there, you can move in and out. You're flexible. Credit is flexible. Okay. Cash is pretty much an anchor, and it is what it is. Either you have it or you don't. Do you have the capacity to earn it? Maybe, maybe not. Credit is a little bit different. Okay. So I'll start with saying this. The financial industry is a pretty much a global, well-oiled machine. Okay, it's based upon a set of international standards that vary from country to country. It's in terms of its applicable use or uses thereof from country to country. So having access to cash and credit will completely dictate your movement in this global society of commerce. Okay, and you will have to participate in one of the levels of global society, one way or another, in commerce. Okay, you will participate. Win, lose, or draw, whether you like it or not, you participate in commerce every day. When you pay your light bill, when you pay your car note, when you buy gas, when you buy sugar from the grocery store, when you sell something online, when you use Facebook or YouTube, okay, you participate in global commerce. When an exchange is made, commerce happens. Okay, that's how it works. Okay, it's all about exchanges. You're going to exchange either money, or you're going to exchange a service, or you're going to exchange time every day of your life. And that's what's going to happen. Now, where is the value associated with such an exchange? Which end of the exchange are you on? Are you on the exchange of the consumer or the provider? You're gonna be on one side or the other. So you may as well pick a side. In my estimation, you're better off being on the side of the provider, because as a consumer, you're limited and you can be dictated to based upon the circumstance at hand. Okay, so you do not ever want to be on the side of a receiver of such, or a consumer. Consumers have little credibility. They have little power, no leverage at all, and you're always dictated to, versus being the person that's handing out the dictation. That happens a lot. Okay, so how does credit play into such a thing? Let's talk about it. See, credit it's actually a macrocosm of the way the society runs from one country to another, or even for that matter, from state to state, or city to city, or county to county. Okay. We'll start by using an example of a credit card company. See, a lot of people don't realize that credit card companies are partners with you once they assign you a credit card. See, the banks see you, or rather, credit card companies see you as an extension of themselves. They don't see you as a consumer. See, credit cards were not really intended for those to consume with them. Okay, they allow you to consume with them, to go out and buy stuff that really doesn't matter, like useless electronics and useless things, like, stuff that really doesn't hold value, guns and butter, baby, that type of thing. You really don't get to expound upon anything if your livelihood is based around just mere items. You don't build wealth that way. You don't build a legacy that way. You don't build a livelihood that way. We're just consuming and acquiring a bunch of fluff. You don't build a network, and without a network, you have no net worth. Without a net worth, you have no access to opportunities. Okay? Without access to opportunities, no money. No money, poorhouse. Simple. Okay? So the way a credit card company works, if you don't know, you're going to find out right now. Because I'm all about helping everybody to understand what's in front of you and to grow. So I'm going to break it down for you if you haven't heard this before. So take notes. Okay? Write this down. You should probably never hear it again. And if you do hear it again, thank the person that's giving you the knowledge. So credit card companies, they see everyone out there as an extension of themselves, specifically if they have chosen you to extend a credit card to. But they want reputable people. They want reputable people out there representing their brand. How do they know if you're reputable or not? Simple. You have to have the credit worthiness to be approved. So if you have a 428 credit score, you're not getting an American Express card. You can forget it. If you have a 513, you're not getting a Chase Private Client or a Chase Sapphire. Nope. If you have a 529, you're not getting an American Airlines card. You won't be considered for anything. And that's a whole nother live. Talk about which kind of cards you do qualify for, which ones are the better ones, et cetera, et cetera. You can find a million videos on that. I don't want to even touch those things. I don't even want to broach those topics because it really doesn't mean much. Because there's an underbelly to this stuff that you guys have to know. And I'm going to crack it open for you and tell you. So, credit card company will come to you and extend you an offer for credit. Now, remember I said earlier, they see every person as potentially a client or partner, not a customer. It's a little bit different. So the way that they do this is by extending partnership offers to you. Now, you've seen those things in the mail. You've gotten them. Sign up bonus, 30,000 points if you spend this amount of money on the card within 90 days. 100,000 points if you spend this amount of money on the card within 90 days. 80,000 points if you spend this amount of money on the card in 90 days. Okay, you're going to get a multitude of different ways that the banks will offer you opportunities. Okay, this is what they do. Now, if it slipped your grasp of understanding, let's peel back the layer a little bit further. Okay, so when they extend you an offer for a credit card, let's say it's 100,000 points, but they intend for you to spend $10,000 worth on that card within 90 days. And that's a lot of stress for a lot of people. But here's the deal. They're going to reward you, but they're going to also put you in a pickle if you don't have things arranged properly. How are they going to do that? Well, they're going to expect you to charge $10,000 worth of debt on that card. And if you don't have a business or something on the other end of that, you're going to be sitting there holding the bag. You're going to be looking at a huge deficit. Okay. This is what they're going to do to you. But they're not intending for you to do that. They're giving you an opportunity to grow by utilizing that card. And they're offering you a partnership as an extension of them because you have in so many words, you have demonstrated the ability to be credit worthy. This is what they look for. So here's where the partnership play comes in. They say, okay, well, we'll give you a 20,000 line. No, let's make it lower than that. Easy math. $10,000 credit line. But we'll give you 100,000 points on that card to utilize how you choose. You can use it at a hotel. You can buy hotel rooms with it. You can pretty much use it anywhere. Flights. You can use it at lounges. You can use the points wherever you wish. Okay, they'll give you an opportunity to put those points on anything you want. They even have it set up at most stores. You can use it to get groceries. I've seen it. I've used it for everything. So I do understand this very well. And I've been doing this for over 20 years. So this is not my first rodeo. Something I have a little bit of experience in. So now, when you actually go and get that card and you start using it, the bank is giving you these points because they are charging a merchant fee to the merchant. And it will be anywhere from 1 to 3%. This is nothing they charge to you as the consumer or the user of the card. No, they parlay that over to the end merchant. So the merchant will end up having a 1 to 3% charge for using that credit card service because they give them the little terminal thing, they give them a little point of sale machine, and they swipe it. Boom. This is how credit card companies are making their daily money. They're not really intending on charging you interest unless you just don't pay your bill on time or you have an outstanding balance at the end of the cycle. That's just extra for them. But no, that's not where they're really looking to make their money. That's just an incentive. That's incentivized money that credit card companies will make. That's just something they make on top of already putting you in a position that you don't take advantage of. That's incentivization. The way they really make their money is by you as a partner becoming an extension of them. Now, I already know this because I'm an American Express global partner. I have the ability to extend credit on behalf of American Express for people all over. So this is something that I know very well. Now, when you go out to a place and you hold one of their credit cards, you go to the store, you swipe it, boom. What's going to happen once that charge is accepted? The credit card company is going to automatically assess a fee to that merchant. And what they do is, upon success of that swipe, they are sharing that percentage with you, which goes towards the points they give you. But you have to meet a certain amount of swipes. You have to meet a certain amount of charges. So if you have that $10,000 credit card and they've given you 100,000 points, they give you those 100,000 points after you have completed the task, which is about 90 days. You have to charge $5,000 in 90 days or something like that. Now, that's because they know that 5,000, not only are you going to be on the hook to pay it back, but they also now have the creditor, or the merchant on the hook for $5,000 worth of swipes. And that's $5,000 worth of 1 to 3%. So it does the bank wonders because you have basically created money for them. You have basically created a stream of income for them, and they didn't even have to go to the store. You did. You went to the store. You swiped the card for them. You basically were their little pawn. You went to the store, swiped. You are a representative of that bank because you carry their card in your wallet. You're an authorized representative for the bank. So the bank just used you to create a line of income, which is why they share the 1 to 3% with you in the form of points and rewards. That's why. Okay. So they drop that in your pocket. They say, thank you very much. Boom. You go in there, swipe that card, they're going to hook you up. But here's the issue though. You'll have that card far and long beyond that 100,000 points. Because trust me, I've gotten that 100,000 points before, and you burn that up in like 2 flights, it's gone. It's like out of there. Poof. That money is out of there. Those points you accrue, gone. But guess what? You still hold the card, so you get nothing else for using it. This is where my strategies come in. This is what I'm going to teach you guys tonight. This is what I'm going to share with you. So listen closely. Listen closely. What's up, A. Kobe? What's up, Shooter? Glad you're in here, man. All right, so I'm dropping knowledge tonight, brother. I'm just giving away free game for my peeps, okay? You guys don't owe me anything. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to super chat. You don't have to send me a cash app unless you want to. I'm not going to even say, hey, hit super chat, hit the cash app. No, because I don't do this for money. I do this because I love it. I do this because I love my people. I want to help people. I want to help people get financially in place to take over in this world. And I'm going to give you guys some hot stuff that you've never heard before. And if you're not on this live, I feel bad for you because you're not going to know. But anyway, so when you use your credit card and the bank says, hey, man, we'll share that percentage with you. We'll give you this reward for swiping. Boom, you're good to go. Now, you are going to run out of that 100,000 points, but you'll still have that card for 2 or 3 years. And you still swipe, but that's when your rewards run out. So how do you gain from the use of swiping that card after that? Well, here it is. Here's the trick. Okay. See, the bank doesn't give you that card just so you can rack up consumer spending, because that's what most people do. They go to work, they punch in, get their paycheck, direct deposit. They run to the mall, buy some sneakers, buy a shirt. Boom. They've already swiped the card. Bam. Now you're broke. And now if you use a credit card, you have to pay that back. So the creditor is now making money on top of the merchant swipes. They're getting you 2 different ways. All right. But there's another way around that. See, most people out here that are working regular jobs or just your layman, they want a better way. No one wants to slave every day for these people that own these companies, because we can be owning our own companies. That's the whole idea. I've been doing this for 23 years now. Okay. For myself, for people around the world, helping companies to learn what I'm teaching you guys now. This is million information that I charge companies for every day. But I'm going to give it to you guys tonight. Okay? That's what it's about. The way you use your cards. See, you can easily start a business here in the United States, which is fine. But here's the twist. This is where it gets really deep. Okay? It is very expensive to operate business in the United States. It's expensive to do anything in the United States. You can't even buy food anymore for a reasonable price. Everything's expensive. Light bills going up, gas bills going up, internet bill goes up. Every time you turn around, something goes up. Because all of your money is being earned in the society where it has the most value in the society to you. That's the difference. It doesn't have as much value in this society as it does in Africa or in South America or in Kazakhstan or somewhere. So here's how you extract the most value. So there's something called, on a global scale, it's called PPP. And I know you guys listening, not the PPP we know. No, it's called Purchasing Power Parity. All right. That is the study of, or the use of, international country-to-country economics with one country's economy and finance and currency being stronger than another. Here's an example, because I love examples, and I'll break this down for you. Let's say you have a $1 United States dollar. If you go to Brazil, your $1 United States dollar becomes 5 Brazilian reais. Okay? See, that PPP, or that purchasing power parity, is 5 to 1. Okay? In Colombia, it's like thousands of Colombian pesos to $1 US dollar. The only currency out there, there are only 2 currencies that I know of that get close to the United States dollar, where it even makes sense to not even try what I'm going to tell you in these 2 countries. One being the UK, they have the British sterling, the pound sterling, GBP, or all of Europe, which is under the euro dollar, which is very, very close to the United States dollar, by the way. So if you're going to look at the euro dollar and you're going to look at the US dollar, that's about, they're on par with one another. The GBP is a little bit more value than the USD. I don't know why, but they are. They don't have the industry that we do, and we crank out more this and that globally, and we have more exports and things like that. I can get into that another live. But anyway, so what ends up happening is what you have to understand is, when you have money that you've earned in the United States, you must deploy your capital outside of the United States to earn more off of the value of it. Okay? Did you guys catch that? I'll repeat it. If you have 1,000 United States dollars in your bank account for savings, okay? Your 1,000 is worth 1,000 in United States dollars, but it's not going to go very far. What did that get you? That can't even pay your rent in most cities in the United States right now. And if you can pay your rent, you may be able to pay your car note and your rent, but I doubt it. I seriously doubt it. Okay. All right, P. Wayne, yes, the euro dollar is also a little bit more valuable than the USD. That's correct. Maybe like a nickel more. I don't know what the exchange is right. That was like 95 cents to $1 or something like that last time I looked at it. But it shifts and changes every day. So one day it may be closer, one day it'd be more, but it's not very much. At one time, the euro was way more imbalanced than the USD, but now it's very, very close. The United States dollar is it's the world reserve currency. So it's going to always be more valuable than pretty much every currency out there, except with the likes of about the GBP. And there are a couple that get somewhat close, but not enough to make a difference. You won't even feel it. So it's better if you're going to use United States dollars, don't use them in the United States. And I'm telling you, now, how does that go back to credit cards? I'm going to show you a trick. Don't go out and use your credit cards for stupid consumer spending, because a lot of people do that. They'll go and start using their card and end up in debt because you're trying to use the valuation of a US dollar or equivalent inside of the country where it has the less value. It's not the value in America for USD. It's not the value it would be in another country for use. Okay, so watch this. A lot of people don't know that there are way more US dollars circulating the globe than that are in the United States being utilized. Yeah, you wouldn't believe this, but we have a very small percentage of United States dollar inside of the United States. The contiguous United States, very minuscule amount of capital inside of the contiguous United States. All 50, lower 48, upper 2, well, upper 1, western 2nd in Hawaii. Most of the USD that's being utilized is not inside of the United States. Most of it's being used in other countries as the reserve currency, for the rest of the world. So this is what you do. You have a US dollar. Don't use your credit here. What you do, you slowly build up your credit worthiness. Because most people, if you kind of sitting on a 600 score around there, 620, 650, if you can get around there, you can start this really quickly. Okay. You run out there, you grab yourself a good credit card, and you make the necessary payment every month. And you work on building your income a little bit. You know, pick up some shifts so that when you report your income to the credit card company, they'll ask you how much you're earning now. Every few months, they'll send you this thing online. They'll say how much you earn this time, how much you earn. And every time you increase that, they'll increase your credit line. Okay. So let's say you have a credit card in your pocket for $5,000. Let's say you're making, I don't know, $2,500 a month. I'm going to take it to just a bare necessity. Nah, let's do more than that. Let's say you're making, let's make it $3,500 a month. Okay, that's the average black man in America earns about $42,000 a year, $43,000 a year. So that's about right. So let's say $3,500 a month. That's what you're making. All right. Now, what you're going to do, you're going to apply for a card. Now, see this, I'm going to show you how to get the right cards and everything. I'm going to show you how to go out and acquire the right credit, acquire the right card. Always begin with like a Capital One. Do not apply for American Express right away. Okay. Look at the thumbnail. You see how many I got on me. So do not apply to American Express card right away. Don't apply to Chase. Do not apply to American Express for a while, because you have to show a lot of credibility to get those cards with the right amounts on them. Okay. So you want to start with a Capital One. You want to start with, they got another one out there. There's a few other ones. You can start with your regular bank cards. You can even get some secured credit cards if you really want to start doing some stuff. But if you want to just apply, Capital One is going to be the safest bet. Okay. And there's a reason for that, but I'll come back to that. So once you have your credit established, okay, let's say you're at a 605 or something. Let's say you're right over a 600. Okay. Now, you want to begin sourcing business opportunities outside of the United States. And see, you got to get with somebody like me that can show you what kind of businesses you can get into out there, like drop ship or purchasing products overseas or selling American products overseas. That's something that a lot of people don't know how to do. Because remember, in some of these other countries, like third world countries, places like that, they want access to the United States product line so bad that they'll pay for it. Okay. They'll pay good money for what the United States has. Discover is also good, P. Wayne, but don't apply for that one right away. Take your time on that one. What's happening, Chris? Good to see you up in here, man. Yes, same with the Apple Card. So Discover, American Express, Chase, and sometimes Citibank. They're all going to be your and the Apple Card also, Chris. That's going to be Goldman Sachs. I have that one. So that's what you're going to be looking at for that one. Appreciate you coming up here, Chris, man. Glad to see you here. You know how we do it. So the difference is, guys, you want to be able to use what's on that credit card to create money. But don't create the money in the United States, because they're going to tax you higher and the opportunities are going to be good, but it's going to be hard to keep up with that silver lining. You're not going to make it up fast enough. You're going to have to go outside the country to put your hands on a larger PPP, purchase power parity, or purchasing power parity, so that you can actually balance out the equation and make more. So here's an example. Okay, let's say I'm an import-export, right? And I have a commodities transaction out of Brazil. Now, I can take $20,000 worth of United States dollars, and that gives me $100,000 to use in Brazil as if it's $100,000 in Brazil. And that's really $100K in Brazilian reais. But the moment I cross back across the equator back to North America, I lose 5 times that money over in like literally minutes. Boom, I'm back to 20,000. So if you can't travel there, which you don't have to, you can extend your business outside once you start forming the right partnerships. Okay, you start meeting the right people, you start connecting and getting into the right frames of business. Trade is the best way. Okay, some of these countries are they're a little bit malnourished in terms of like products that we take for granted, like sugar, corn, stuff like that. Commodities like foodstuffs. They're really shortchanging those types of things. So they don't produce those types of items. Like if you look at China doesn't produce sugar at all. They have to import all their sugar. China imports pretty much everything. They don't really produce a whole lot, but they import a lot. They import beef, chicken. They don't produce any of that stuff over there. See, all that stuff is produced in the United States. They don't produce oil there. They don't produce beef. They don't produce chicken. They don't produce sugar. No foodstuffs are produced in China. So they look to countries like the United States and Brazil and places like that to import their product. So what does that mean for you? Well, if you look up the Chinese RMB, for instance, or the renminbi, or the yuan, the PPP is going to be different because the products that they produce in China are going to be on a minuscule scale for quality as comparative to the United States. Like, how many Chinese cars do you know of? Would you drive one if there was one? I don't know. I wouldn't. I don't know of any Chinese cars. And I'm sure there are, but they're not globally known. But you'll drive a German car, like a BMW. You'll drive a Ford. You'll drive a Lincoln, because those are internationally known vehicles and they have a value assessed to them to some degree or another. So get back to your credit. So what you have to do is find the country that has a disparity in a product that they don't produce in that particular country. And 9.9 times out of 10, any country that you find, they're going to be hovering over the United States or what you can do, because you're going to have way more money than they will. Let's take one of the African countries. Let's take Cameroon, for instance. I'm doing a deal there now. It's funny. The value of the Cameroonian currency is nowhere close to that of one United States dollar. So imagine if I take 20,000 United States dollars to one of those African countries or any country in South America, I'm going to be like a six-figure earner right off the rip, just because I have the cash. So that means whatever product that I buy in the United States that I know that they don't have access to in those countries, if I'm going to sell them over there or move that product over there or bring my cash to that country to buy their product and then flip it and sell it in their own country, look at what happens. My 20,000 United States dollars, whether I take a product there or whether I invest my capital there, is going to grow exponentially faster by just going to that particular country and dropping that value, that cash there, or dropping that value there. But you don't have to use your cash. Let's go back to the credit card. Your credit cards will work in pretty much all of these places if you know where to apply it and where to use it. Okay. So you just have to understand, when you have your hands on good credit, you have to deploy it, because I've said this on the live that got messed up earlier. This is true. And anybody out there can attest to this. Money is not free to use. Money is not free in any capacity. It's not free to use. It's not free to have. It's not free to earn. I'll give you an example of that. To earn money costs you money because they're going to tax you. That's one. To spend money costs you money because they're going to tax you. That's two. Okay? If you save money, it's going to cost you, not because they're charging you, it's because the value of money today is not going to be the value of money tomorrow. So you have to get use of the value today. Because if I save $1,000 for 5 years in just a savings account, I may earn 1% a year if I'm lucky. But guess what? That still isn't enough to cover what it's going to cost me to spend it. The moment I run to the store and spend that $1,000 after 5 years having it in my bank account, Lord knows what the tax is going to be by then. So all of that percentage that I've earned, they're going to eat me up in sales tax. See what I'm saying? So there's really no way to gain from sitting on your money, and there's really no way to gain from trying to use it here. You can get by unless you're earning a ridiculous amount of money. So you're going to have to understand that if you're trying to apply the use of said credit or cash within the contiguous United States, you're going to be at a deficit unless it's substantial. Okay? And I'm just talking to the layman right now. The layman has an opportunity to source the world for different lines of products and goods. There's so many out there. You would not believe how many people I talk to around the world every single day. And they all have the same story. Here's an example again. Speaking of someone, let's say I was talking to one of my guys in Brazil. Now this will make the hair on your neck stand up. I couldn't believe this. In Brazil, if you were there, they will rob you for your iPhone. I mean, I've heard of stories. It's never happened to me. I've heard of stories that guys will go there and they'll be walking with their phone in their hand, like, doing a live or filming or something or videoing. And a dude on a moto will just ride by and snatch your phone and keep going. Literally. Like, the reason why is because the price of an iPhone in Colombia or Brazil is the amount of some of these guys' rent for 6 months. Literally. Because an apartment there will cost you about $300 a month. So iPhone 15, brand new out of the box, might cost you what, $1,200 or $1,300, $1,400, something like that. Depends on what size you get, 256, 512, or whatever it is. In those countries, that's their rent for 5 or 6 months. And another thing is, if you were to go to Brazil and let's say you were stuck there and you were trying to, let's say you lose your phone. Here's what's even crazier. This is where the PPP comes in at. If you lose your phone in another country like Brazil or Colombia, if you went to the Apple store there, a lot of people there, it costs you almost 3 times as much for an iPhone there. So here, an iPhone costs you what, $1,300, $1,400. Over there, you're looking at $2,000 something, almost $3,000. Because they have an embargo on the tax there on these imports. It's crazy, literally. And another thing is, if you try to say, oh, okay, well then I'll just go online and order me one from America and then ship it here. Nope. They're going to eat you with a 40% tax or something like that. It's ridiculous. You're still going to pay a lot of money. The only way you're going to make that work, you have to fly back to the States, get your phone, and come back. That's the only way you're going to be able to avoid getting charged like that. And I know a guy that went from Brazil back to the United States, bought like 5 phones, and he tried to bring them back to Brazil, and they were like, oh, no. You trying to cut us out. That's what they told him at the airport. They were like, nah, man. You're not coming in our country making all this bread, and we're not getting some. So they told him either you can leave them here with us, or you can fill out this tax form and pay us today. They're going to get their money, man, in these countries, because that's how they earn the most. The bulk of their money is earned by taxing people, import taxes. That's how they are able to earn cash. So what you have to do is you have to use your American good name and your American good credit. In these other countries, you can't really get credit. You can't do it. Now, that's correct, Chris. Like, if you carry an old flip phone, that's what most people do. Or, some Americans will go down there with an iPhone 5 or something. That's no big deal. $400, you can boom. But they still treat those iPhones of all shapes and sizes like they're the second coming of Christ, because they cannot afford them there. iPhone 4 down there costs you $1,000. Really? iPhone 5, I'm sorry, costs you $1,000. It's crazy what they do. Yeah, but you would want to definitely not. I know people that travel to those places with 2 or 3 phones, and they won't take the good one out. They'll leave the good one inside of a safe in the hotel, and then they walk out with a 5 or something like that. In case something happens to it, they're like, I don't care. It's only like $200 or $300 to an American, but to a Brazilian, it's going to be substantial. So there's a market for that in some of those countries. You can actually form a market of selling older iPhones in these. I know a guy doing it right now. He's doing it right now. He's buying old phones. Okay. iPhone 5, iPhone 7, iPhone 8, all these older phones. And he sets up a transaction with distributors there. Does a contract, and he makes them put the money in escrow. He ships the phone, boom, escrow releases his money. Bang. Now, see, I'm in the finance industry internationally, so I understand which banks are good, which banks are terrible, and why they rely heavily upon United States products and funding. So understanding your own credit can get you into these areas. Just like I said, you can spend $500 for an iPhone and sell it overseas for $1,000. You already made 100% on your money. You see where I'm going with this? And you won't really have to do a lot of marketing, because there, it is what it is. I mean, they don't even haggle with you about it. They're like, hey, we need the phones. Let's go. So you're using your American credit to purchase in bulk all of these types of items. And then let's be realistic. You don't even have to do one country. You can do 10. You can have Africa, different countries in Africa. You can have different countries in South America, different countries in Asia, all at one time. And as you pay on your credit, guess what happens? And here's the kick. You're earning money from your sales. You're paying off your credit faster. So what does that do? The credit card company says, oh man, this guy $10,000. He's paying this stuff off in like a week. Let's boot him up to 15. What do you think will happen in about 3 or 4 months of doing that? You're up to 45,000 in credit. Now you have 45,000 worth of buying power that you can go to buy all of the older phones in the United States. The ones that people don't use anymore, the ones that people are like in the United States, every year you're going to upgrade your phone here. Every year you're going to go for the newest iPhone. People don't want to keep an iPhone longer than 1 or 2 years. They're going to always upgrade. But that's the interesting part. In Africa, hey man, that's the way it works. That's big time. An iPhone 12 or an 11 in Africa is like a 15 to them. You know what they'll pay for that? Above market prices. You'll make more in Africa selling that phone than you'd actually make in the United States selling it. That's a fact. That is a fact. So what I'm trying to share with you guys is simply this. You use your credit in the United States to acquire goods and services that you can resell elsewhere. Now, this goes beyond goods. Let's say you know how to do a service. You come up with a service of some sort that you can sell in another country, like tutorial services or tutors. There's so many different ways you can use your funds in different places around the world to earn more than you're going to be able to earn here. You can do it here too in the United States, but the margins are going to be much, much smaller, as you know. I mean, you're not going to sell an iPhone 4 for $2,000. It's not going to happen. Maybe to like someone that's from another planet, they might do it. But common sense Americans that can wake up and walk around with their phone in their back pocket like most people do, and don't have to worry about anybody riding past on a moto and snatching it out of your pocket. I've never even seen that here in the States. I'm pretty sure things happen, but I've never seen it. I've never seen anybody get robbed for a phone. Not in the United States. Now, you go maybe one continent below us, and you're going to see that all day long. In Colombia and different places of Brazil, you got to be careful. Because the PPP is different. The earning is different. Food down there is way cheaper. A meal in the United States that'll cost you $30 will cost you like $6 in Brazil. Really, in reality, that's a fact. I mean, big dishes. I'm talking the national custom of food is like a fraction of the cost that it is here. So this is all about deploying your credit and making the most of your credit and not engaging in consumerism. See, that's what you have to do. Your credit is not really designed to be used for consumerism unless you can, but there's definitely a dead end to it if you're doing it. If you're using your credit to buy everyday things, you are putting yourself behind the 8 ball, in between a rock and a hard place, because every month you're going to have to turn around and pay for that every single month. And if you don't pay it off, it's going to be interest. So now you're losing money. And not to mention, a lot of people don't realize when you swipe that credit card at any store, you're paying sales tax on top of it. You're getting stuck everywhere you look. You're swiping your card for whatever the item is. You're paying the sales tax and you're paying off the card. And if you don't pay it on time, and you're paying interest. Does that sound like a recipe for success with using a credit card? It sure doesn't. Now, why have you never heard of these options that I'm giving you before? Well, most people don't know people outside of the United States. Most people are confined to the reality that they know, which is domestic. And that's cool. But that's what guys like me that just want to help people. I want people to be their best. I want to see people succeed. I want to see people grow and earn and learn. I like to give it away. It's nothing for me to tell you, hey, man, don't swipe your credit card here in the United States. Swipe your credit card in the United States for something you can use to grow your net worth somewhere else where it's of more value. Okay? So that's how that works. Now, this is an area of finance that you're not going to hear most people talking about. Most people don't even know how to do this stuff. Most people have never been in a situation to deploy these tactics. That's what I'm here to tell you. Okay? Now, the way this translates is simple. Access begets opportunity, which begets wherewithal, which begets a wide array of financial options. It's like a chain. Links to links to links to links. Back to the source where it connects. And it just starts over again. That's the way the world is. A world is like a big gold chain. Valuable all the way around and reconnects at the other end and starts over. That's the globe that you guys are familiar with. Okay? But here's the key to making all of this work. Two things that you must employ, two parts of the strategy that are indisputable. They have to be carried out in order for this to work. One, you have to begin building your credit worthiness. I don't know where a lot of you guys are on the financial scale, but if you don't know, I can show you how to do it. It's very simple to do. Okay. Number two, you have to increase your global presence. See, that's the thing that people don't realize. To be successful in anything, you have to have presence. You have to be available to many people in many different places to have value. You create value by creating a presence, whether it be selling products or selling yourself or selling your services as yourself. You have to create a presence. And once you have that presence and the mystique forms around you, you'll have business at the wazoo. You have people all over the world connecting to you, working with you. You be making money hand over fist while you sleep. Okay? To me, this is one of the safest ways to earn money. Lots of it. Now, you have your lotions and potions and real estate and all this other stuff that you have to grind out. And even in the United States, you can earn this kind of money, but you have to always compete with people who are all trying to do too much of the same thing. So you basically have to plan to beat them, because the service is going to sell one way or the other. But are you strong enough to beat the other person at the game? A lot of people aren't. A lot of people are starting off their businesses. They're not strong enough to compete with a larger outfit that's been at it for 5 years or 10 years. And they have trucks and they have product and they have warehouses, and they have employees, and you're just getting started. So can you make money? Yeah. But you're not going to get the lion's share of it, at least for years and years, until you grow and become sustainable, where you can compete. So see, this is about competition. It's about access. It's about competition. The way you get way to access, it's via your credit worthiness or your cash, so that you can compete. That's what this is all about: competition and access. Okay? So I tell everybody, first thing you have to do is understand how to get your credit in a position to where you can use more of it and less of your cash. Because if you can have a high credit amount and use less of your cash, you can make money with the credit, and then from the proceeds of said use of said credit, you can pay then said credit card bill with the proceeds, and you only just pocket cash in the interim. So you never end up actually spending anything out of your own pocket. You're using what's the term? OPM, other people's money, and the other people are the bank. Okay, the banks have the uncanny ability to create huge lines of credit via the Federal Reserve, via the way the United States works. Banks are nowhere close to being insolvent, so they can create money by just creating obligation, promissory notes and things like that. That creates money. So that's how banks can generate enough credit capacity to assign to you for use. And they're only going to give it to people who can, they're going to give the most of it. Now, let's say they'll give you some. They won't give you hardly anything if you just showing that you have good credit, but they want to see how you use it. That's what they look for. They look for every month. They check, they're looking at your statement. They say, what does this guy buy this month? What did he charge? They'll look at where you ate, what you bought, how often you bought it, how often you did it, which jurisdictions that you used the card, blah, blah, blah. See, and that's how they determine how much reach that you have, because you have to show that you have reach when you're dealing with this. Okay? I say, Chris, you say, how do you do that? Creating a present. What kind of present are you referring to, my friend? I'll answer it for you. Just tell me, just be a little bit more expansive on your question so I can make sure I answer it properly. Yeah. Keep in mind, when the banks extend you that credit, they're hoping that you can use it effectively so they can give you more. They want to give you more. Now, let me just say this too. Let's be very, very careful here. Now, I'm going to say something very, very, very important right now. So you must hear this, okay? They will give you credit, but they're like jealous girlfriends. I'll answer your question in a second there, Chris. Let me just get this point out before I forget, because it's important. All right. They're like jealous girlfriends, man. You do not want to have too many credit cards, because they'll see that you're giving too much attention to one versus the other, because you can't use them all. I mean, you can, but it's probably not wise to use all of them at one time. I mean, if you do, you could, but it's hard to manage, man, when you start doing that. Been there, done that. Bought a hat and a t-shirt. So trust me, you go and you swipe one card here, you swipe that card over there, just to kind of give them all some play. But here's the problem, though, that they never tell you when you get these cards or when you get access to this stuff. Here, see, this is the deficiency with using this stuff if you don't do it right. And they will never teach you this before giving you the card, by the way. They just say, hey, here you go. Here's a card. Go to town. And you go to swiping the sucker, but you don't realize that there's an agenda behind it until the agenda slaps you in the mouth. Then you're like, man, I wish somebody would have told me that. Well, that's what I'm going to do for you guys. I'm going to tell y'all so that you don't get trapped in the same scenario that hit me and other people learning this years and years ago. So what you do, you want to stick around 4 to 5 good cards. Okay. That's and you have to be very judicious when using those. Okay. There are people out there. Some of them have 35, 45 credit cards. I've seen it. Trust me. I was one of those people. A lot of credit cards. The problem with that is simply this, though. When you don't use them all, they'll start taking the lines back. So if you had $10,000 on this one and you haven't used it for 6 months, you'll go check it one day, $7,000 line. You're like, what the heck? Which kills your utilization, by the way, if you're ever using any of the other cards. See, this is the part that'll crash you down. The moment that you start not using all of the cards, which is why you want to keep it to around 5. You get 10 or 15 or 20, you're not going to be able to charge all those cards every month. And if you do, you're crazy. But what's going to end up happening is you charge one. Let's say you charge a Bank of America. Well, guess what? What they don't tell you is they can all see your activity on every card that you have by virtue of what is called the soft pull or your credit. That ain't fair to me. I hate that. It's like one of your ex-girlfriends calling your new girlfriend to tell her that you did something or whatever. It's like, wait a minute. We ain't together no more. Why are you doing that? But that's the idea. That's what they do. You'll have Bank of America looking at checking your phone, quote unquote, which is your credit report. They'll be soft checking they'll do a soft pull, which you won't even know until you actually check your credit. But it's not a hard pull. It doesn't hurt your credit. It just gives them information that they shouldn't have. Information that they use against you, by the way. They're very, very good at this. They'll go in there. They'll watch what you do. They'll say, he's got 10,000 charged over there. He's got 5 charged over there. He's got another 8 charged over here. He's got a $10,000 credit line with us, but we're a little jealous because he's spending with them. So let's take his line down to 5,000. That's what they do. But here's how it hurts you. You heard what I said. All of those credit card companies you have cards charged on, or you have balances charged on, that's already going to hit your utilization. You don't want to be over 30%. Okay, you want to be 30% or below. That's where you want to be on all your cards combined. But here's the problem. The one card that you weren't using because you wanted to keep that number intact to help your utilization. Well, what happens is when they stick you and take half your line because you weren't using the card, guess what? Your utilization automatically takes a huge hit. And here comes the domino effect. Then this credit card company will say, they took their line down, then we're going to take ours down 2,000. And then the other company says, whoa, why are you guys doing that? Well, let me take ours down 2,000. The other company says, whoa, wait a minute. Whoa, we're going to take 3,000. Before you know it, your credit card limits are low and your balances are high. Now you've lost 200 points on your credit because your utilization is 68% versus 28%. And it's all happened because one credit card company chose to drop your line. So I'm not a fan of the credit card companies having access to your credit reports and not actually doing a pull, because it gives them it's like going to sleep with your back door with a big window in there and they can look right in. The window's open. They can see in your house. So they know, the criminals know what you have now. That's the problem. When they shouldn't have access to that. But that's why you have to be smart with these credit card companies. This is how they will nosedive your credit. Be very, very, very careful. They will nosedive your credit. That's what they do. They will plant your stuff in the dirt before you know it. The way you combat that is to have 3 to 4 cards, but only use one repeatedly. But keep the other balances low until you need it, then you increase it. Right? So if you could, let's use an example here. Let's say you have a transaction that's worth $20,000 in another country. P. Wayne said, that's a lot of game. That's why I have it recorded, so you can go back and check it out, man. Yeah, Chris, that's what they do. It is scary. This is how they get you. Appreciate that, Chris. I appreciate you like that, man. This is good information. Have a good night, Chris. Appreciate you, man. And we'll talk about on another live. I'll cover the ways you can get products to sell. Okay, so that's another thing we can cover. But this is my last example, and I'm gonna leave it at that, so you guys can kind of digest this stuff, because we're gonna be talking for 15 years. This is a lot of information. Okay, so last point I want to make, what I was actually going to say here. If you have one credit card and you are using that card consistently, and you have 4 other ones that you're not using, you may have a 760 score, but don't accept the credit limits for those other cards over a certain amount. Keep those limits under about 5,000 or less. Okay, for the other 4. Now, if you have, but always use one. Keep one you can put over 10,000 if you can get it that high. Put 20 on one if you can, but the rest of them keep below 5. Okay, keep those cards below. Keep them 3,000, 2,000, or whatever. Now, reason why is because when you need that credit, all you have to do is apply for the increase, and they'll usually they'll give it to you instantly if your credit is good enough and you have a history of successful payments. So you don't have to worry about that. Do not carry a whole lot of high credit limits, because the moment that you start using it, another one of those creditors is going to see it and they're going to clothesline you. All right, so that's how that works. So I tell you guys what, I just wanted to spend a little bit of time going over a little bit of information. Please go back and watch this live. It'll be up for a while, unless it gets flagged or something, unless somebody hates on me, takes it down. They may not want this information out there. So please listen to it if you get a chance to, because this stuff will change your life. This is just the intro package, okay? We've got a lot of stuff to cover with this series, this topics. We'll go into it. But let's kind of stay right here for now. You got something to sleep on. All right? So, gentlemen, ladies, do me a favor. Like, share, and subscribe to the content. Leave me some comments down below. Let me know what I can do better. Get this content out quicker, whatever have you. I want to make it as palatable as possible so you can digest it. Hey, much love to you also, P. Wayne. We appreciate you, my brother. Appreciate you for dropping in, man. On the next live, I'll probably open up a panel or something and we can have a discussion. But this one, I just wanted it to be an intro. I didn't want to do more than about an hour and some change. I wanted to kind of keep it low. So in the next run, we'll do an open panel live. You guys have questions or whatever, hop on. We could talk about it, lay it out, discuss this wild world and what they do. And we can make it happen, man. This is what it's all about. So go ahead, like, share, and subscribe, everybody. Share this content with people that you know. Share this live. If you have people out there that need to hear this, share it. This is very, very top tier information. This is stuff that most entities that do what I'm talking about, they'll charge you thousands of dollars to tell you this stuff. And I haven't even scratched the surface yet. This is nothing. This is how what I'm trying to do is help you frame a mindset here so that you can go and apply this information one day. This is just putting your mind in the right spot. That's all I'm looking to do. I'm just trying to cultivate your mind. It's like shaping the head of a baby. I'm trying to shape your head. It's pretty much all I'm doing. So with that being said, everybody, I appreciate y'all for chiming in, for listening, and we'll get on the next one. We're going to get up out of here now. Y'all have a great night. Peace.